Hello, my name is Ben,
And my name's Josh.
and welcome back to FPL Graduates. Welcome back to another Euro Fantasy video where we're going to be going through our final drafts for Euro Fantasy 2024. Kickoff is not long away at all. We'll look forward to that first opening game between Germany and Scotland. But for now, let's get into our teams.
Okay then, so we're going to get kicked off into my team. So you probably would have seen our first drafts video earlier in the week. If you haven't, I probably wouldn't even go back and watch it because you're here now. You're at the updated version, recording this at 1 o'clock on the day of the game, Scotland versus Germany tonight, which is exciting. So yeah, let's start off in goal. So we've got Verbruggen in goal. This hasn't really changed since my first draft video if you have watched it. Verbruggen and Van Dijk in defence. There's no Lewandowski for Poland in that match day one. He's got an injury which really enhances that clean sheet potential in my opinion. Obviously there is that potential that Van Dijk is on penalties as well if Depay might not be on the pitch. We're not too sure yet. I think we're going to have to see them get a penalty for that to sort of unfold. And obviously there's a lot of rotation risk with the 5.5 million euro defenders in terms of Dumfries and Frimpong, so it does give you that security going the point 0.5 extra with Van Dijk. DeMarco and Mittelstadt, they pick themselves. Obviously Mittelstadt is such a find at 4 million euros. Everyone should own him, so cheap. DeMarco as well is Italy's best player. Could be on some set pieces as well, which is also handy, and depending on which sort of formation they use, I think there's rumours of them playing the 4-back. I think if they do play that 5 at the back formation, he could get some serious attacking threat. And then the defenders on the bench, we've got Wout Faes. He's there purely because of budget. Obviously, he's only 4 million euros. He is a decent option. Obviously, got an assist in the friendlies before the tournament. If I did have the funds, though, I would go to De Kuyper, who I did mention in the first draft video earlier in the week. He's 0.5 extra, but he will be playing left back for at least the first game. I know there could be a bit of rotation risk with him going forwards, but I think match day one, you've got yourself the starting left back for Belgium. And then João Cancelo is in there as well, 6 million euros. A lot of people saying, oh, I've gone with Dalot, he's a little bit cheaper. I think there's a bit of rotation risk with him at left back with Nuno Mendes. So yeah, we'll have to wait and see. Cancelo's nailed though, FPL legend. And then obviously Moldovan is the backup goalkeeper who I haven't mentioned yet. He's 4 million euros. Again, some potential risk there that he might not be the starting one. The only confirmed starting goalkeepers at 4 million euros we have are the Austrian keeper and the Czech Republic keeper, which both of them face, I think, France and Portugal. So yeah, I don't know if you really want to go near them in match day one. What's your thoughts on that defence and keeper situation, Ben?
Yeah, decent. I mean, Verbruggen is a fairly safe one, as is Van Dijk. I mean, if you want to take the risk, I think it's worth the upside in going for a Dumfries or a Frimpong, depending on which one you think is going to start. If Frimpong's starting right wing, then that's brilliant, but
Unreal,
you
yeah.
just can't be sure of that. DeMarco and Mittelstadt, of course, are so nailed on. Wout Faes as well is a decent option as well. And yeah, I like the Cancelo pick. Like, there's a slight risk again of rotation, really slight in my opinion, but yeah, he's fantastic in terms of a fantasy asset. So yeah, all in all, a fairly decent start to your team, and not too many sort of weak spots in there, let's say.
Yeah, and then we'll move on into the midfield. And now this is the area which I think there could be the most change between now and the deadline. And there's just a lot of good options, but no amazing options in my opinion. So we'll run through that right now. So we've got obviously Florian Wirtz, first of all. I'd say he's probably the most likely to leave this draft. 7.5 million euros is a good price. I just don't know if I want to triple up on Germany against Scotland. I think Scotland are a decent side. I don't really back Germany too much. They've not really played anything competitive in ages because they've already been qualified for this tournament for that long. So we'll have to wait and see. Gundogan's up next. He's on the captaincy for the penalty reasons. I'm sure Ben will dive into why that might not be a good idea in a moment. But yeah, he's there at the moment. And then Soboslai, he's locked in there for me. I just really like the look. Like, I just love having like a talismanic player for a team in FPL or in Euro Fantasy. He's on all set pieces. He takes penalties. He takes a lot of long shots, which you get an extra point for as well. And I think, personally, in my opinion, I think Switzerland are the weakest team in that Group A. Obviously, we'll have to wait and see how it pans out. But for me, yeah, I really like that pick at the moment. We finish off the midfield on the pitch with Jorginho. I'm not too opposed to having him because we're still not sure who the penalty taker is for Italy. If it is him after missing 4 in a row, fair play. But yeah, against Albania for the first match day, even if he doesn't get a return, I'm probably gonna bench him anyway with the likes of Bruno Fernandes, Cancelo on my bench. So yeah, I'm not too opposed to having him there. So that's why he's there. And then as I mentioned, Bruno Fernandes, he's there against Czech Republic. I think it's a nice fixture. Bruno Fernandes has been quite integral to Portugal in these qualifiers, and he's becoming more of the main man as Ronaldo's sort of age sort of carries on getting older and older. So yeah, what's your thoughts on the midfield, Ben?
Yeah, decent midfield, and like I said, like I think there's a lot of decent options in midfield. I don't think there's too many, if any, standout options in Euro Fantasy this year. It's a shame. I think a lot of the strikers that have been put in maybe should have been a midfielder in the game. Like you've got quite a few of the French
Like
options are just null
Yamal.
and void because of that. Yeah, which is disappointing, but there we are. It makes it a little bit more differential in terms of the picks that you're going to go for. The German guys in there, I don't mind that at all. I think, like you said, Scotland's a bit of a difficult one, but I think Germany will get through that. The captaincy, Gundogan, I don't think it's a bad shout, but it leaves you in a little bit of an interesting position because, if Gundogan scores a penalty and that's all he does, he leaves you in a sticky position. Do you stick or do you twist with that? I'm personally thinking of captain a really high upside player that could get a load of returns or literally 1 point to maybe make my decision easier. I think like for sticking and twisting, you're probably sticking on like a 12, 13 point haul, I'd say, in the group stages because you've got a few days to change the captains, etc. But yeah, all in all, really, really like it. The Szoboszlai pick is a really interesting one. I think with the Euros, it's always the tight fixtures and the talismanic figures usually sort of bring themselves into the points with a moment of the game. And Szoboszlai is definitely capable of doing that for Hungary. So yeah, all in all, a fairly decent midfield as well.
Nice. And then moving on to the front three, probably the most obvious picks for me. There's not been too much deliberation here, other than Kylian Mbappe, who obviously has been, I don't know if he's missed training totally. I'm sure Ben will clear it up, but he's been ill and had some slight back issues apparently. I don't know how much I believe it, and I reckon we will see him against Austria. But yeah, that's sort of the rumor mill at the moment. To be honest, I wouldn't be too opposed to going against Kylian Mbappe in match day one. I don't think he's essential. I think there are some players as well that you could potentially argue have a better fixture in match day one as well. So yeah, if you're scared about that sort of rotation risk and having £11 million just sort of rot away on the bench, then by all means go without him. Harry Kane, for me, he's the one that I will have. I'm not keen on England at the minute because I just don't know how they're going to set up, to be honest. And how, like, where, for example, like Jude Bellingham's going to play. Is he going to be more advanced? Is Foden going to play central? I'm not so sure. So, yeah, for me, Harry Kane is the guy that you sort of can rely on and you know what you're going to get from him. So, for me, he's up there. And then, obviously, Romelu Lukaku. I kind of want to get another Belgium attacker into this team. I'm not so sure how to do that. Maybe Florian Wirtz to Trossard, De Bruyne, someone like that. But I really like this Belgium team, and I like the fixture against Slovakia for match day one. So that's my current thought process at the moment. What's your thoughts on that attack, Ben?
Yeah, I mean, fairly standard, fairly template, but it's like that for a reason because they're the three best strikers at the Euros, in my opinion. They've got the three best records out of anyone in qualifiers. So, yeah, not got too many complaints at all. I mean, one of those strikers I've not got in, and I've been trying to figure out a way of bringing him into mine, but it's proving rather difficult, and you do have to make some sacrifices, as you can see in Josh's team there, to be able to fit all three of those guys in. Okay, so moving on into my team, we'll start off in the goalkeeper and defence. I've got the same two goalkeepers that Josh has. I have Verbruggen and I have Moldovan as well. I mean, Romania only conceded 5 goals in qualifying, which is fantastic. Yes, they had a fairly simple and easy group, but to do that in any group stage, anywhere from a team like Romania is fairly impressive. So I'd back Moldovan to start, hopefully. But if not, we may not even need to use him if the Netherlands keep that clean sheet against Poland. In a defence, I've gone with Dumfries. I've gone for the risk pick. I think he's 8% owned. He's differential, as it is. And I think the fact that he has such a high upside, if and I believe he will start that first game. He's been the first choice fullback on the right hand side for the Netherlands since the World Cup, and he's been fantastic throughout. Ronald Koeman clearly likes him at that position. He's got a lot of attacking threat, a lot of attacking potential, a lot of he's delivered in the qualifying as well. He's got a few assists, a few goals as well. So yeah, I'm fairly set on him staying in the team. We've also got DeMarco and Mittelstadt. At the moment, the captaincy is also on Mittelstadt. I was talking about the high upside picks, and I think Mittelstadt, if he does get a haul and attacking returns, he'll be much, much higher in terms of points than a Gundogan, a Havertz, a Florian Wirtz, etc. So off one attacking return and a clean sheet, he could be looking like a stick captaincy rather than one attacking return from Gundogan at a clean sheet point. You're probably thinking of twisting it, whereas that sort of removes any sort of doubt in my mind of changing it. We've also got Trent Alexander-Arnold in there at the moment. That's the one which I'm sort of not 100% sure on at the moment, but for me, he's been fantastic every time he stepped on the pitch for England, and he adds just a completely different dimension to that England attack. I'm not looking at clean sheets here. I'm looking at attacking returns only. If he's playing centre mid as well, I expect a lot of ball recoveries, which should hopefully help that as well. And yeah, the sort of sub defender is Cancelo as well. Just like Josh, again, a slight risk of rotation, which means there's a little doubt in my mind that says, do I sort of drop him down to upgrade elsewhere? But for now, he's in. He's got a good fixture. That Portugal team is fantastic. If the manager can get him playing in the right way and in the right systems, they'll be really good. But yeah, that's the defence and the keeper. Josh, what are the initial thoughts?
Yeah, really like it. Obviously, a lot of similar picks to mine. Dumfries, as you met, I prefer Dumfries to Frimpong. I know Frimpong has the potential to play right wing, but for me, I think Xavi Simons is probably going to operate there. If I'm going to sort of predict for match day one, and then yeah, Trent as well. I agree with what you're saying. If he does start, I think the ball recoveries is where he's probably going to be most likely to make up his sort of points, and then anything else is just sort of a bonus in terms of clean sheet or an attack and return. It will be interesting to see how he sort of plays in that role because we've not really seen him in midfield for England at this sort of level. It's always been like a friendly against San Marino or something like that. So yeah, it will be really interesting to see how he sort of performs in that area. But yeah, really nice defence overall.
Okay, so moving on into the midfield, and we'll start off with my most differential pick. We've got Serin from Slovenia, £5 million pick, and a lot of people have been like, who is he? Well, he obviously plays for Slovenia. He's on a few set pieces, so he's on corners and some free kicks as well, and has a bit of attacking potential. I don't think too much. Like, I don't expect too many goals or assists from him, but he also does pick up ball recoveries. Over the last season in his, so he plays in the Turkish league. No, in the Greek league for Panathinaikos. And he's got 4 ball recoveries per 90. So he's just in there as a pick. I don't really like Jorginho. He comes off after 60 every game for Italy. So I anticipate that Serin will play the full 90. It's only for match day 1 as well. I'll be sort of using my chips in 2 and 3 as we spoke about in the previous video. We've got Gundogan in there, just like Josh, for the same reason. It's the penalty potential against Scotland. So I don't mind that at all. Phil Foden is also in there. Really like him. He's been in great form. A lot of good things I'm seeing coming out of that England camp. A lot of players saying Phil Foden's looking fantastic in training. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what he can do. Like we said, we don't know how England will set up, but I feel like I need an attacking asset in there somewhere if I can't have Harry Kane. So Phil Foden is probably the next best alternative in terms of attacking output from there. And then on the bench, we've currently got Leandro Trossard from Belgium. Like Josh said, a Belgian double up and attack could be really, really good and on the cards for match day 1. Trossard will probably play off the right, I imagine, but let's see what happens. Fantastic end to the season for him, so no doubt in my mind that he starts. And then Bruno Fernandes, I think, will be a fantastic asset over the whole of the Euro fantasy. I don't anticipate not having him for a game week unless Portugal are knocked out. So yeah, looking really good there. Fairly settled with it. Obviously, we could move Serin on to a different £5 million asset, but we'll see what happens there. Josh, what are your thoughts on the midfield?
Yeah, I quite like it. Obviously, I know you got Foden there because you can't get to Kane, and I think if I was to gamble on a England attacker, I think he'd be that guy. Really high ceiling players in this team: Foden, Trossard, Bruno. You know, some really nice assets there. So yeah, I think you're looking good. Maybe other than Serin going forwards.
Yeah, we'll have to see about that. I mean, if he gets a goal in match day one,
Unbearable.
we'll be flying. But let's see what happens. He's 1% owned, so some people also on that train too. Moving on to my strikers, then we've also got Lukaku and Mbappe. Lukaku's massively gone up in his ownership over the last 2 days. He was at 15% 24 hours ago. He's now at 20%. So people are starting to wake up to the fact that he's an absolute bargain at 9 million euros. Mbappe's still in there at 11 million. I mean, if we get news that he's out before the deadline, that's an easy switch to Kane for me. So we'll have to wait and see about that. Not looking, I think it's promising. Mbappe, I think he'll start. I think he'll play. We always get this sorts of things at the start of tournaments. Maybe the manager's putting out some fake news to sort of get the hopes up of other teams, but we'll wait and see. And then Kai Havertz is also in there. I think if anyone's going to break down the Scottish team, Kai Havertz will do so vertically from up top. I do really like him as an asset. It's probably between him and Depay on who to go to in that final slot. I've gone with Havertz. Let's see what happens with that. Josh, what are the overall thoughts there?
Yeah, obviously Lukaku and Mbappe sort of pick themselves at the moment. Yeah, how Lukaku's only 20% owned even still now is absolutely remarkable. 9 million euros for a striker who should easily be over 10. It's crazy value there. I just don't see. I've never had him not in my draft basically. And then we got obviously Mbappe, as you say, easy switch to Kane for you. I think for me, I'd probably be looking towards Ronaldo, maybe even drop him down to Højlund, Havertz, Depay, as you sort of mentioned. And then, yeah, Havertz as well. It's an interesting one. For me, I've never really considered him too much. I think there are better goal scorers in the forwards list, especially with the forwards being so many and so many good assets in that sort of field. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see. But like you say, it does have that sort of feel that like it might be like a 1-0, 2-0 Germany or something like that with a Havertz brace or a Havertz goal and assist or something like that. So yeah, a nice team overall. And yeah, good luck to you in Euro Fantasy, mate. Okay then, so that wraps up our final team reveals for the tournament. As we say, there could be some minor changes to these teams, but I'd probably predict that 7 at least players in these teams will be the players that go through into our final drafts come 8 o'clock tonight. So remember, the deadline for Euro Fantasy goes up until kickoff, so we will get all the team sheets for Scotland and Germany before the deadline closes. So say if Gundogan is benched or something like that, you'll be able to make adjustments if you do it before the deadline.
Yes, and as always, please remember to like, comment and subscribe to the FPL graduates. I've been Ben.
I've been Josh.
And we'll see you guys
next time. Have a good match day, everyone.
You may rise, but you'll never make me wanna stick around you.